Hello everyone, thank you for being with me today. As I told you the other day, I would give you a wrap-up on our double murder investigation that occurred in Secret Cove. Before I do that, we're going to kind of lay out how this occurred because, as you're going to see in a minute, we've got a lot of suspects involved in this, but we want you to see the video. First, we're going to show it to you without sound so that we can pause it and I can explain what it is that you're not only seeing now, but what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. So this is, there's just a lot of moving parts, and you'll understand once we go through it. Okay, this is at the entrance. You come off of Reynolds Road. And let us stop it right there, okay, if you will. Okay, the first person there is Alex Martinez. He's 17 years of age. He, you'll learn later, is carrying a 9mm handgun. The one behind him is David Judd. And I'll run it through again, and if you'll watch him as he walks, he's got a shotgun down his pants leg. And then on the other side, watch him as he walks. See how he's walking like Chester, a little stiff-legged. Okay, stop there. The other guy that's running there, we believe, has an AR-15 in his pants. Now understand, the far guy is 18 years of age. He's Anthony Roush. David Judd, the one with a shotgun, is 15 years of age. Did you hear what I said? He's 15 years of age and he's got a shotgun down his pants. And the lead is Alex. Now before we move on, right now the victim's white Mercedes is out of camera shot, and just around the corner there's actually another apartment and then the intersection. So let's go ahead and play through it for just a second. As you can see, Anthony's running over there. He's going to be in the bushes as a lookout. You see him over there. He's got his gun. They made a tactical approach. That vehicle has nothing to do with it. This vehicle's just a lady coming home with her child, and she has nothing to do with it. This is one of our victims of the murder. He has nothing to do with it. He's just riding his electric bike, minding his own business. Our victim / suspect's been shot, and he runs. You see our suspect, Anthony, run out of the woods there. Now they're all scattering. Let's back up and look at it one more time without sound. And then in a minute I'm going to play it with sound so you can hear the gunshot and hear all the revving of the engine. So there they are. They've taken up position. What you're going to find out is Alex went to the car. David stayed on the front porch of this house next door. And Alex is the one we believe at this point in the investigation did the shooting. This lady's just trying to come home. She doesn't know anything about anything. There's our victim, who is run over in just a few seconds, minding his own business. Okay, you see our suspect is running from the car, or running after the car makes the corner. All right, this vehicle here has nothing to do with it. We would, however, like to find those people and talk to them, because they obviously had the ability to see this guy sprint out of the woods. So we are still mopping up witnesses and that sort of thing. All right, now let's play it a time or two with sound. Okay, and we'll play it again in just a second with sound. You'll hear the distinct pop. You'll hear the engine race as he comes around the corner. He's shot. You'll also hear a kind of a pause. Then you hear the engine race again. Then he hits the bike and the house. Turn it up a little louder, Carrie. You can hear two hits. You can hear when he hits the or the bicycle, the electric bicycle, and then hits the house. And he pushes him into the house and underneath the car. Okay, let me introduce you to the players here. This is Jessica Chambers. She's 19 years of age. She is dating Alex, our shooter. Alex Martinez is 17. Jessica Chambers is 19. We have another video of them coming out of the house where Kristen Guzman, who's 23, lives. They came from his house in order to go to Secret Cove to commit the robberies. So there's Jessica's in the car, Isabella, who's 21, is in the car. She is holding her 1-year-old. Jessica's holding the 4-year-old, but they've got this 1-year-old and 4-year-old baby here. Alex is in the car. Kristen's in the car. And I believe Anthony's in the car, and I'm sorry, David's in the car, and Anthony arrives, or Anthony's in the car, and David's already there because they have relatives in the neighborhood. Kristen, who's 23, is the mastermind of the robbery. Why does he get Alex, who's 17, or David, who's 15, involved in it? And I don't know why Anthony did, because he's an adult. Well, Kristen knows that, hey, if this is a robbery, it'll probably go easier on the 15 and 17-year-old because they're juveniles. At least he thinks that. The 19-year-old victim driving the white Mercedes, did you hear what I said? Only 19. Has sold Kristen Guzman marijuana before. So there was no reason for our 19-year-old victim to be booed up about selling dope, freaked out about, because he sold to Kristen before. So they set up the meeting at this intersection. Our victim, who's 19, driving a Mercedes AMG, has 2 1-pound bags of marijuana and a thick wad of cash with him, as we explained the other night. Our victim, who's 19, is going to live forever. He's living in infamy in movies. You know, as I said the other day, he's got "Life is a Gamble" tattooed on one hand, and "The world is yours," a Scarface quote, tattooed on his chest. So they all leave about 12:47. I would say maybe 1.5 miles, 2 miles at the most, is where Kristen Guzman lives. He's driving, and they drop off David, Alex, and Anthony, and that's where you see them walking up. As you know, Alex has got a 9mm, David's got a shotgun, and from everything we can tell, it looks like Anthony has an AR, a rifle. So they plan their mission. You hear the pop, you hear the car race off, you hear our 38-year-old victim who has nothing to do with this except the poor guy's riding the bike in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's hit, driven into this apartment, this house. The car's completely in the house, and he's rolled up underneath it and killed instantly. They all flee. Alex goes back to the apartment that's just off the view here, picks up the shotgun off of the porch, and he takes his hoodie off, wraps that around the shotgun, and dumps it behind the convenience store at Reynolds Road. Some of you asked the other day, what evidence did you get? And you see where the events took place. The shotgun behind the convenience store, the intersection where the robbery was, and then the vehicle inside of the home. Kristen Guzman, who's still in the car, Jessica's who's in the car, and Isabel who's in the car, then flee, and they scoop up and go back to the residence. Now, what's interesting, Kristen talks to us. He thinks we're going to have a drug ripoff, right? And he knows they're armed, and now he's got a double murder on his hand. He probably didn't know it was a double murder. He probably didn't know that the guy was run over on the bike, or maybe he did. So our suspect, the shooter, said, hey, I crashed out and shot the guy. Kristen tells Jessica, take your boyfriend and get him out of my house, get him out of here. So Jessica takes Alex back to the Motel 6 on Highway 98 North in Lakeland, where he lives with his mother. The investigation unfolds, and we encounter Alex and his mother at Lakeland Regional Health. They're there checking on her mother, who is apparently being treated or maybe in the hospital. The mother tells us, my son didn't have anything to do with any of this. And we showed her the video clip of her son. She immediately identified him, started hitting him, and saying, I told you to stay away from those people in that area. And he said spontaneously to his mama, I didn't shoot anybody. To which she said, it doesn't matter if you shot or not, you were there. Mama cooperated as much as the mama could. But let me take this a step further. Our 19-year-old drug dealer, who's a victim of a murder, is on probation. David Ewell, who's 15 years of age, is on house arrest pending felony charges. Kristen Guzman is on felony probation. Anthony Roush is on felony probation. Isabella and Jessica have no criminal history. Alex, who went from no criminal arrest to 2 counts of first-degree murder and conspiracy to rob and a litany of other charges, went from 0 criminal history to 2 counts of first-degree murder. And this is the mastermind. The investigation's still underway. But there's some of you would say, well, those poor children. We'll get over that real quick, okay? Let me show you a picture. This is from April. Anthony is holding the rifle and wearing the Good Vibe shirt. I don't think he had any good vibes that day. And then there's Alex standing next to him with a Return to Neverland tour. I understand that is a gospel rap artist. But interestingly enough, our victim, who was 38 years of age, when I arrived at the scene, I kept hearing gospel music. And I looked around, and his cell phone was on the ground. When he was riding his bike this particular day, he was listening to gospel music, and his cell phone was still playing the gospel music when we arrived at the scene and found him deceased. None of this should have happened. This has everything to do with teenagers and guns and drugs. Did you hear what I said? Is there any morons in the world that don't understand that teenagers and guns and drugs end up with murder and death and destruction? This was a horrible thing. The 19-year-old was absolutely wrong. He was on probation, but he was big time, but he still shouldn't have died. He still shouldn't have been shot. And when he was shot, the bullet went in the right side, crossed through his body, came out the left side, and that's why he bled to death in just a matter of seconds. But he was trying to get away from being shot anymore. He was shot once, and that was enough to cause his death. It's sad, but the fact remains, we stand up here at this podium, and I love social media saying all kinds of crazy stuff. Oh, it's not the drugs, it's not the drugs. Listen, look at these folks. Let me say this again. Probation, our 19-year-old on probation, the 18-year-old on probation, the 15-year-old on house arrest. Oh, by the way, newsflash, I know this is an Einstein moment. He wasn't at home where he's supposed to be on house arrest. It doesn't have to be like that, but there's an underworld that thinks money and drugs and guns are cool. And now we have 2 kids, 6 people locked up for murder, a dead 19-year-old. It's really a sad situation. Okay, I'll entertain any questions you have.
Are all being charged as adults?
We are petitioning the state attorney to charge all of them as adults.
Also, you mentioned something about the fellow Christian, who left, and then this happened, and you said that he was speaking with you, but he was kind of thinking it was a drug issue. He didn't realize at the time that there had been deaths involved. Is that right?
No, Kristen, by the time he talked to us, knew there were deaths involved. But initially, he ran from the scene. Obviously, wherever he was in the community, he either saw or heard the vehicle crash. So he probably didn't know what all happened, but he knew this, that the deal went bad. So, riddle me this. How much money and drugs did the bad guys get? 0. Nothing. They killed 2 people. They've got a lifetime they're facing in prison over a failed robbery that I'm convinced he wanted the youngsters to commit, thinking that it wouldn't be as hard on them. But the reality is he didn't care. Except that while he masterminded it, he picked up 2 first-degree murder charges.
How did he come about being spoken to?
Kristen, our detectives, who are the very best, by the way, and you might be interested in this, in 17 years, we've had 2 unsolved murders. Did you hear that? That's pretty sporty, right? And in one of those 2, we have all the players identified, but it was a gang deal and nobody's talking, so there you go. 17 years, 2 unsolved murders. You can be assured of this. If you commit crime, you're on somebody's camera someplace, number 1. Number 2, if you commit a murder in this county, my homicide team, who is without a doubt the absolute total best, will find you and will bring you to justice. 2 have escaped us in 17 years, and one of the 2, we know who did that. And the other one was a long time ago, before the cameras were as prolific as they are today. So, for all of you masterminds of crime with 4 brain cells, understand this: you're always recorded someplace, and we're going to get you and put you in prison. We would rather these folks on probation had been locked up someplace, then none of this would have happened. If Kristen, instead of probation, was locked up, he couldn't have masterminded this unless he did it from inside a jail. But even if he tried to, the victim who was going to sell the drugs, if he was locked up, wouldn't have been out there to sell the drugs in the first place. And if David Yule was home on house arrest, he could have thanked his lucky stars for being on house arrest if he'd obeyed that at 15. Now they're all jammed up.
Again, how did the detectives come about, finding him and speaking with him?
A great deal of investigative work that I'm not going to share with you today. That's a clue. That's an answer.
All the suspects facing murder charges, did you say?
Jessica is not. Isabella is not. Jessica is facing contributing, conspiracy to rob, and false information, and accessory after the fact. Isabella is charged with conspiracy to commit robbery, 2 counts of child neglect, false information during a felony investigation, murder investigation, and once again, accessory. They are both 21 and 19. They're both adults.
But when you look at that chart, they're all kids.
Yeah, they are.
They killed 2 people. Now they've ruined their lives too. Can you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. There's no winners here. There's absolutely no winners. The oldest one's only 23. This one's 15, 18, 17, 21, 19, teenagers, kids. They're kids. But they were doing adult, mean, bad crime. Listen, this is nothing but a thug robbery gone bad. And Alex's mama looked him in the eye and said, "I told you to stay away from that place." But he didn't. He went back running with his buds, and it got them all locked up for murder. 2 counts.
And I know you mentioned mastermind. You used that word more than once, but I imagine this wasn't the most well thought out crime.
Well, they had their plan going until the 17-year-old freaked out and shot the guy. Now, interestingly enough, our 19-year-old drug dealing victim did not have a firearm. He had a wad of cash. He had a lot of dope. He did not have a firearm. I don't suspect he anticipated problem because he had dealt with Kristen before. So he went there thinking it's another marijuana deal. Make a little money. They had no intention of doing anything other than robbing him of his cash and of his dope. Thank you all very much. I appreciate you being with us today.